Hey, everybody. Welcome to the tezos-artcast. This is tezos-artcast number 29. I am your host, Jeff, aka PC84 on all of the social things. Welcome. With the tezos-artcast, we're here nearly every Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, West Coast USA, to talk to different artists, musicians, game designers about how they are using this new technology of NFTs to enhance their work or to market their work, just to see how they're using NFTs in their creative process. And also to get some great insight into the minds of these creators, specifically around the Tezos blockchain network. And yeah, that's kind of what we do, and that's what we're here for. So let's get it going. How is everybody today? I hope all is well out there. I think Hicket Nunk, no, I don't think I know Hicket Nunk hit 500,000 objects this week. So that was a pretty big milestone. And that's, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, Hicket Nunk is the largest NFT platform for Tezos, and lots of crazy good experimental stuff going on there all the time. And it's Hicket, HICETNUNC.xyz is the address. And it's one of several marketplaces that employ Tezos. Spoo is on the chat. What's up, Spoo? Welcome, my friend. But yeah, the objects are their term for whenever you mint something. And Hypneon, what's up? Welcome. Awesome. Love our hen. Hen is short for Hicket Nunk. Hicket Nunk meaning here and now in Latin, which is pretty awesome, because where else can we be but here and now, right? Anyway, 500,000 mints basically this week, which is pretty crazy in that the platform hasn't even been up for a year yet. I remember, like it was yesterday, fond March afternoon, getting online and perusing my first NFTs on the Tezos platform, and it was glorious day. So yeah, we've come a long way, and time has moved at warp speed, and yet so slow. It's just insane. I feel like we've been on this journey for years already, but it's not even been a full year. So we can be there and later. That's right. Be here and now, be there and later, whatever. It's all about how we each individually experience time anyway. So yeah, Spoo, you're there and later, and here and now. So that's pretty trippy, man. I like it. I like trippy. We're gonna get transcendental today. I can already tell, as I think this. if I know which way to point to get, I have to point the opposite way. Deep within deep canyon. That's where we're going. It's gonna get deep today. So yeah, I'm excited to have you guys here. Excited that there's 500,000 objects that have been minted on Hicket Nunk. Excited that Halloween is over. And yeah, I love Halloween, but I'm glad it's over because it's another holiday I don't have to worry about for the year. Time zones, man. Totally, Spoo. Time zones. They mess me up. Yeah, so we're really excited about today. I've been looking forward to this for a couple weeks now. And as you can probably guess, if you didn't hear about it last week or on Twitter the last few days, we have a very special guest today. And I'm very excited to be talking with the one, wait, let me see if I can do this right. The one, the only, we're going to be
in the show.
getting to know little old man.
Hey! Thank you very much, Jeff. Pleasure to be here.
Welcome, Tom.
Yes, I am Tom, and it's a great honor to be here on the tezos-artcast. I'm here to give everybody far too much, incredibly detailed, fastidious, almost paranoid levels of detail on what I do and how I do it. This is it. This is what I've been waiting for. Now you're all going to know.
That's right. The minutia, the inertia of the minutia has just begun.
Oh boy. Yeah, I'm going to keep things deep. I'm going to keep things unfathomable. I am going to make sure that every word is very carefully chosen to infiltrate through your nasal passages and plant its mycelia within your tissues and make a lasting and indelible, unretractable impression upon you.
Wow, just like a neti pot.
Yeah, that's how we're going to play it.
Awesome, man. Well, yeah, welcome to the show. We're stoked to have you. So now that you're here and you've got all this indelible, wonderful information to share, let me pose a question.
Oh, excellent. Good start.
Who is Tom? No.
Oh, who is little old man, sometimes known in other spheres as ticklish? I am a cartoonist. I come to you as a simple cartoonist. I eat my food out of bins. I go down to the beach and I shout at the crows. And I live on the south coast of the United Kingdom. And I apologize for everything the United Kingdom has done to whoever is there. I mean, they've done something to you, whoever you are. So sorry about that. If I could have stopped it, I would have.
I believe it.
I spent a lot of my time drawing. I have a day job though. And I tumbled into NFTs like so many of us in that March, in that Hay Salon 6 or so months ago, that so many of us did. I think I'm either getting to Hickanunk. I played around with Eth for a while, but Hickanunk felt very comfortable and very, very us. And I enjoy it a lot. I'm very, very fiercely loyal to the place.
Absolutely. Now, okay, so you're a cartoonist. Have you always been a cartoonist? Did you get into drawing and art at a very young age, or is it something that kind of came later with other pursuits?
Well, anybody who is an artist of any stripe as an adult is just someone who hasn't had that kicked out of them. They haven't just been punished systematically and every time, so that they still retain some joy into making things. So yeah, there's no particular starting point. I just never stopped. I'm not from the UK. I'm from South Africa. I emigrated to the UK to seek my fortune as a cartoonist.
Okay.
In the year of our Lord 2007. So flew right into a global recession, which kind of dampened everyone's appetite for weird indie comics. So then I decided to become a scientist, and that was all going quite well. But then, for some reason, there was a global pandemic and another recession. So I went dusted off my brushes, dusted off my tools and my pens, and I should do some cartooning again. And in the meantime, someone had put together this mysterious blockchain technology, which made it all very fashionable again. So swings and roundabouts. You live long enough, and you see yourself become yourself.
That's right. Spoo says a mad scientist, and he also asked if this is turning into an episode of Stuff the British Stole.
Oh, it can be. I mean, guess everything in this room, technically. Mad, I can get quite cross sometimes. Get me started. I'll try me.
Sorry.
So is the question answered? Is that who I am? It feels pretty good. I feel.
How am I not myself? How am I not myself?
How am I not yourself?
How are you not myself? So as a so you said you were doing you've been kind of in the cartoonist world. Is there a big distinction between being a cartoonist and being an illustrator?
No, it's just if you do an illustration, then you do another one quite similar to it, which is on the same page or near, or the next page over. Now you're a cartoonist, I'd say. Actually, not even, because you can do single panel cartoons. No,
okay,
it's all in the marketing.
I guess the only thing I could think of was would be cartoons might be all. I mean, you might also be doing the story writing and everything, the storyline. Whatever you're cartooning, or maybe a lighter vibe to a cartoonist's world.
Yeah, I guess I like the sort of be like a European Japanese model of like a lone weirdo who's doing everything for no good reason, and they never come up from their lair into the horrible blistering light. I like that kind of model, the sort of the more American style of like factory line things is like kind of fun, but I've done a little bit of that, but I prefer to do it all, do it all myself. Damn it.
When you made your move to the UK, were you doing similar work in South Africa, like working as a cartoonist?
Yeah, well, I wasn't working. There was never really much money in it. You know, I was working as a life model and working in an off license. But anthology stuff. I mean, the scene in the 2000s was very fertile. There was still this kind of trickle down from kind of the bigger companies. I mean, everything's sort of shut down. I mean, it's had a renaissance since. But I sort of just caught the tail end of a beautiful moment in the kind of British cartooning scene. It was still kind of cheap and easy enough to kind of run off your own comics on a printer. There were a couple of people with like risograph printers.
Great
times. Yeah, it's sort of come back, but it really dipped down during my tenure.
Same with like the zine culture as well, like, or well, I guess they're kind of sharing a space, like indie comics, do-it-yourself comics, and zines from like late 90s, early 2000s. Everything kind of saw a little bit of a dip. But
and the early webcomic scene, like when I was in it, the people who had like the first webcomics, they were like the elders. They were the old men. Now, kind of the people when I was around, they all like went to work at Cartoon Network and Adult Swim, and Godspeed. They've done some good cultural transmission through all that. But yeah, I guess the pandemic would have gotten rid of all the events. Pandemic would have gotten rid of all the meetups and the conventions and all the kind of lifeblood of it. And now this is the strange new eon we find ourselves in.
That's right. So you mentioning webcomics, has digital illustration, has that been like a medium that you've been engaged in for a long time? Like you said, the print, the kind of self-printing became a little more costly, or just kind of had a dip. Did you transition over to kind of more digital style after that, or has it always been there?
Yeah, I think so. Since like high school, I'm trying to put it in terms of versions of Photoshop. Photoshop 3, I think.
Okay.
I think maybe that was my first Photoshop.
Yeah.
Photoshop 3. Since you kind of get a scanner and start mucking around with that. Yeah, I've always had a digital component. sort of frowned upon for a time. But yeah, that sort of exciting late 90s upswing with deviant art, and the dawn of the webcomic is very influential to me.
Yeah, I remember not even 10 years ago, I have a good friend who has done kind of like just this really bright, vibrant, simple character art. And I think it's just brilliant. And he transitioned from doing just regular sketches and even like kind of cut and paste paperwork to digital, because he was working with some similar shapes, and he could get some really great effects, and found a lot. He saved a lot of time doing it digitally, and then adding like textures and gradients and stuff was so much easier. But when he went to share that work with the people that had kind of collected him before, they were just like, oh no, you can't put out digital stuff. Like, this is like, it's neat, it looks good, but who's gonna buy it? And
Dylan going electric.
Yeah, exactly. And now, I mean, now it's come around, and he's not frowned upon for it anymore. But it's just a weird thing to experience that shift in culture like that, where it's
I mean, it's a little niche now to include analog things in your work. And I put I kind of go into the kitchen and I put some tea bags in the oven to make background washes. I'm like, whoa, people are going to think this is pretty weird, isn't it? But yeah, this is just how. It's hard to know. It's there's been enough sort of turnaround. It's hard to remember what you're rebelling against. Like, am I being punky by drawing on the computer, or am I being punky by like putting some painted elements into my computer drawings?
Yeah.
I lost track a long time ago.
That's right. I can finally wear my my glistening neon windbreaker again that doesn't fit, that's baggy, and my hammer pants. I can finally pull them out of the closet.
Oh, that's gonna be glorious.
Yeah. I'll be that's gonna be my New Year's Eve show. So if you're watching right now, tune in for New Year's Eve. I will be recreating the Ice Ice Baby video, and so stay tuned for that. I think I just dug myself a little hole there.
Sold.
And it'll be minted as an NFT.
Of course, yes.
That's right. So that's so some of your background seems similar to mine in that like printing world, kind of transitioning. It's been a strange time to be alive. It's really cool to see all of these giant transitions in art and technology, and here we are on the verge of another one. So you went underground when the quarantine happened.
I had that luxury.
So what was the transition like for you? Were you doing a lot of the events, I guess is what I'm asking, that you mentioned, like meetups and stuff? And
I fell out of those actually quite a long time ago, doing the events and things, mainly because I went to go be a scientist for a bit.
Right. Sure.
So I'm now like doing sciencey things, but then also drawing. I like illustrated my dissertation and was doing kind of talks that way. And with air travel shutting down and everything shutting down, just very difficult to transition anywhere. So it felt like all doors were shut. But then, everybody's, those who can were inside, and I guess working hard to bring about another shift in the culture of art. And it feels very much like when am I kind of orienting? It's from around 2000. when suddenly you can put things online and people can see them, strangers can see them, and that's all very exciting.
Yeah.
And some people make money. The furries are making a lot of money out of this. I couldn't figure out how to. I actually back then I just didn't have a very stable internet connection.
Sure.
I was in South Africa on dial-up. You just can't, you get shouted at by your parents if you upload too many megs.
Right.
So I couldn't really join in then. It was just sort of the wrong time to really kind of join that online upswell. But now we have a new online, not that new,
right?
But a different. I guess the main transition is it's about accessibility, right?
Sure.
The internet was in the early days. The internet felt very free and lawless and open, and they companies worked very hard to make that not the case.
Yes, definitely.
And now that seems to have happened again. A new kind of void has opened up, and we'll have a few years before it's crammed back down again.
That's right. Yeah, you can already see the tendrils popping up on the sides of the screen sometimes. Oh, it's coming.
Really quick as well. I'm amazed at the speed at which Facebook are going to turn their entire business model around just kind of capturing your tezos.
Right. Yeah, it's strange. The last couple months, I kind of went from feeling like I wanted to talk about NFTs while I was at work, or kind of the show here and what I was doing, and kind of telling coworkers yeah, I started this podcast thing, and what it's about. Well, all right, here we go. Let's see if I can talk about this right. Going from this very kind of walk on ice kind of thing to overhearing somebody say oh, blah blah blah, NFTs, and I say NFTs, you don't say. I've been doing a little thing. Oh, really? Are you into V fans, or are you into have you got Top Shots? And well, no, but there's this other thing. And then going back to a little bit awkward, but no, it's really interesting to see that change and hear kind of in the general population. I like I said, I'm based in Las Vegas, so being on the Strip as an industry food restaurant worker, my day job, overhearing tables sometimes who I don't know where they're coming from. It could be Kentucky, it could be New York City or Japan. Overhearing somebody try to sell the whole table, their friends that they're on, it's like a bachelor party, and the one guy's there no, man, Bitcoin, bro. I'm telling you, Bitcoin's the future, and more and more and more, and and then the next week it's, bro, Ethereum, dude, Ethereum's the future. It's wild.
Yeah, it's a lot of work to not be that guy. I was trying to just what have you been doing with your time is sort of the question. Okay.
Yeah.
Trying to not use that word NFT. Well, I make drawings for shadowy figures in Discords.
There you go.
That's
a good one.
That's legit, isn't it? That's not a bizarre cult. It's just it's just cool.
Yeah, I make cool things, and shadowy super coders help me sell them.
Yeah. I don't know why or what they're doing particularly, but I mean, we seem to understand each other.
That's right. So when you found kind of NFTs and this kind of this new digital landscape opened up to you, did you have this series already kind of in your mind? Were you already Little Old Man? Okay, first let me start. Sorry, I'll start with where's the Little Old Man moniker come from?
Little Old Man. I've been using that one for ages, and does it come from? There's like a South African traditional sort of spirit called like a tokoloshi.
Oh,
It's sort of like a gnome or a goblin who is kind of involved in like sleep paralysis and other kinds of things
okay.
that
Is that a
and
Japanese word?
well, tokoloshi is a I don't know which language it is.
Okay,
but
okay.
Um, but yeah, he's kind of cute. He's just like a little fat guy with like a long beard, like covers his genitals.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that guy. I think as far as like malevolent spirits to avoid go, he's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So yeah, I adopted that. Things the British have stolen, took it, and yeah, I feel it's sort of pleasingly vague. It can sort of fit to any medium.
Right.
And
it kind of leaves to the imagination who you are as an artist as well. Like it could be that you are a little old man, or it could be that your spirit inside is like a little old man, or that you're an actual demon.
Yeah, this is like my first time showing my face and voice in this sort of space, so I did kind of like the sort of ambiguity. Maybe this is a sort of like a folkloric, mythical little spirit thing making a weird comic about cowboys. You don't know, blockchain. Anything can happen. It's the future.
Right. And this could be the seed to an entire mythology that develops later on.
Yes.
People will remember the books written about little old man and the world created in Cowboy Love is Pure.
That'd be nice.
And worship at the altar.
Yeah, hopefully they get something out of that. That'd be nice.
So what was the Cowboy Love is Pure is a really cool title. What was the inspiration like starting out? Because this is from the minute I saw like the first panel, which I think this one is the first one I saw, Deep Within Deep Canyon. I was hooked already. There's centipedes, which is cool. Looks like some Southwest, like Utah, Arizona. I'm very familiar with this territory already. Super cool. So where did the inspiration come from? Like, how did this all get started? This project.
Well, thank you for the very kind words. I kind of, when I sort of start projects, it's sort of to try and get away from the previous project. So Cowboy Love is Pure kind of started as sort of like an automatic writing exercise.
Okay.
Where you're just trying not to think about it. Just as quick as possible. Just get down some kind of ideas, which is like a fun game, usually like in a very intimate setting with like people I know very well, where if I'm in the mood, I will just blather out a bizarre story.
Yeah.
Which is all well and good, but if you kind of want to present this to other people, you kind of have to wrap it up in got to have more than just yourself attached to that. So yeah, I kind of filled notebook after notebook with this the sort of inspiration point really is like, what if I just kept on that same story? What if there are two cowboys and they're in a canyon and one of them wants to find love and then the other one says that you got to find these centipedes and the centipedes go to love and then there's a date. What if you just keep on that?
Yeah.
And I've been kind of sketching that story out just in very rough form for years.
Nice. So this started years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so why don't I do something for Hickanunk? Like I can dust off the little old man brand, and I can like bring these sort of these Cowboy Love things out and do them up real nice, and do it as what I don't know if it was the first, but one of the early Tezos crypto comics.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it was definitely one of the first that I saw. and I'm starting to see more and more, and it's really neat to see the evolution of it and the different ways that people are going about, approaching kind of releasing comics on the platform. When you first thought about it, or when you were first getting everything together, is there a reason that you chose to do kind of panel by panel, as opposed to maybe like a series of panels? Or
I really like that format. It works really well in a kind of a web context where there's effort required in getting to the next one.
Right.
Where, because you can flip. It's nice to flip through a comic. It's nice to flip through a book, but if you're kind of forced by the format to linger on something, I find that you can use fewer words. You can leave things hanging in a way that I don't think you can do as easily with more, kind of serial. What do you call that? Just multi-panel comics.
Right.
I love Far Side and Addams Family, old Charles Addams stuff. I love that kind of thing. But I guess like the main inspiration for this is Problem Sleuth by Andrew Hussey. It's the thing he did before Homestuck.
Okay, Problem Sleuth. I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm not familiar, honestly.
I love Problem Sleuth. The format, it's this kind of square formatted, very awkward looking, kind of simplistic style, which then will hit you with like sheer grace notes, and it's like quite text heavy.
Yeah.
And with sort of plain sort of text like input in the browser, and it was sort of like it was like a Flash cartoon.
Okay.
Where you would have these animated sequences, and even though Homestuck, like the thing which succeeded it, became quite internet big.
Yeah.
And sort of became its own thing. I think I prefer the simplicity of Problem Sleuth, of just kind of panel text. You have to touch it. You've got to do something to it in order to make it proceed.
Yeah. And I think another thing that strikes me, and I remember it striking me when I first saw like this panel, is, at least for now, the upload speeds are a little bit slow, right? So depending on where you are or what kind of internet you're connected to, this panel would come up, and at first it's you're taking it in like any other image, and there's a background with centipedes, and you're like, oh, okay, that's a cool image, I like it, and you're almost ready to move on to something else, and then a piece of text comes up and you realize that there's a little bit more to it, and there's some animation. So I was pleased to find that there was, I think the animation aspect really helps as well. It makes it that it draws you in just a bit more from a panel perspective.
Thanks. Yeah, and it's kind of, it's a fun limiting factor as well, because as soon as you animate everything, I mean, text appearing is relatively simple,
right?
But it does rein you in a bit, where you have to be very clear of like what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
Just when you sit down and think about like, where's the joke? Where is the movement?
Yeah.
So yeah, and you kind of think in that sort of endless scroll of the Hickenunk front page, or more likely on Twitter. Like, if someone's going to see an image, and hopefully they're going to see it a couple of times in one session, you sort of just want to, just by something quite small, you sort of want to communicate why it is this is worth a second look.
Right.
And so if it is just a face expression, or if you have to like put quite a lot of time into identifying what that is, sometimes successfully, sometimes not. But it's a great exercise for the mind of just thinking like, what is this? It's in like a very noise-heavy environment, I suppose.
Right.
And how can you put a signal into that noise?
Sure. So again, your illustration style is quirky, I think is a good way to put it. And I was gonna just say great, but I think it's quirky and it'd be worky in. So can you share some of that process with our audience and kind of walk us through like what you're doing here to make all this happen?
I can indeed. Allow me to present to you a 20-page PowerPoint.
Woo!
Hey, yes. Okay.
Love it. Okay. Let me.
So, just walk me through. Am I still visible as a person here?
You are. You are.
Okay, great. I'll continue to use my hands.
Perfect.
To demonstrate. So, this is the birth of a Cowboy Love is Pure panel. This is panel 17. It starts with a piece of paper that I scanned in some years ago. I think I've actually got it pinned out somewhere. But yeah, I like this. I keep to a very specific color palette, the sort of deserty, kind of tea and coffee kind of color. So, and it sets
let me stop you real quick. I apologize. For anybody watching, please drop your address, your Tezos address in the chat. We will be doing a giveaway later that little old man's prepared for us. Tom has been gracious enough to do up something very special.
Should I show him the goods?
Show the goods.
Okay.
The goods are so good. When you shared it with me, I was, oh my gosh. I'm sorry to stop you dead in your tracks, but I wanted to get to this. We have some people watching and some people in the chat already that I wanted to make sure they drop that note.
Oh yes, please. Yeah, give me your Tezos address, and you will have it. This will be a little memento of the time that you were here. And, oh yeah, it's loaded. Okay.
And this is going to be this is something that you did exclusive for the show.
Yeah. Was that late last night? Drawing these little legs, putting the textures on.
It's so freaking cool. And you made it an open edition at the moment, and then anything that you don't give away is going to be burned.
It's going to be burned. It's going to be offered to the sky.
Burn it.
Burn it. So yeah, this is never coming out again. This isn't going to get used in a panel. This is just for you.
It's great. I love it. I think so much because it looks like what's it called? A petroglyph.
Ah, thank you very much.
It reads a lot like a petroglyph. Dory Theo says, "Whoa!"
Thank you very much.
Awesome. And Spoo gives a little excited guy hands.
I like that. I like an excited guy hands.
Excellent. And we've got some addresses rolling in.
Yes.
I want to thank you so much because this is a beautiful, beautiful piece. So we're excited to be able to share this with the viewers. And yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, it's fun to kind of think of the iconography. I mean, Cowboy Love is Pure is in its early stages. So we've got a few elements to play with. And it's fun to kind of find a configuration that feels sort of emblematic.
Right.
Okay. So it all starts with a yellow piece of paper.
Yes.
And these are the sketches. These are the kind of the crazy kind of try not to think about it, automatic writing things that I do. This is what they look like. Just a lined paper and a little pad. Just kind of do this while I'm at a train station or trying not to do something else. And this is the panel that would become panel 17.
Okay.
So I drop that into my Photoshop and I do these panel lines. And the big part of this style is the line work being a very particular way.
Right.
I'll show you. I'll give you a demonstration of that in a bit. Actually, let's go into it right now.
Okay. And I hope you can also touch on the font too, because I feel like the font is a very it definitely plays into the general feeling of the comic as well.
Ah, thanks very much. I'm glad you say so, because the font is definitely a way that I make life very difficult for myself, because it is not a font. That is just handwritten me going in. So this is showing of my age. This is Photoshop CS3, which to me feels like a very advanced version of Photoshop. But I'm told that there's been some since. So the the origin story of this style is that I really got into Photoshop brushes once upon a time, but then I forget what happened. There was a reinstall, there was a crash, you know how it is, and I lost all my beautiful brushes. So like someone who's kind of lost the use of a hand, I kind of taught myself how to just get by with the default Photoshop brushes. So
All right.
some of the default Photoshop brushes are these what are called calligraphic things for writing beautiful calligraphy.
Right.
But I noticed that if you sort of don't use them for their intended purpose, you can get these sort of strange kind of jaggedy things. And if you kind of like put them one after each other like that, you get something that looks like a bit like a fence, like a corral.
Okay, yeah.
And that starts building up a sort of theme. And you think like, well, what if I just drew a guy like that? And you kind of draw a guy like that. Oh, actually, I'm not doing it right. Because even more laborious is that every time, of course, the direction changes, you got to change the brush. So you kind of it's good in a sort of just drawing discipline way, because you kind of have to think about every stroke.
Yeah.
Before you make it.
The main cowboy. I see the cowboy forming.
Here he comes. And then you kind of have sort of challenges like, well, what does a circle look like when you can't make circles?
And we had a Greek artist on, Tezos-artcast, and his one of the things he really enjoyed doing, and his main kind of style was to use MS Paint from Windows XP or something, or something like, or Windows 95, but he specifically was talking about something similar where, kind of the restriction of the tools, or kind of the limitations that you come up against, that forces you to get creative and kind of get creative.
Yeah, you just have too many tools at your disposal, so you have to kind of come up with these sort of like Cloud Cuckoo Land sort of restrictions on on what to do. I find it's very soothing, and it kind of engages sort of everything becomes like a problem to solve.
Right, right.
So this is how all the text is done.
Wow.
Down to it. Size 8. No, too big. This is how I spend my evenings. Hey, I call this style. I recently came up with a name for it. I forget why. I call it Crystal Cowboy.
I like it.
Should go down the patent office.
You know what? I don't know that you would want to go this route, but because there is something. Every single panel is going to be a little bit different because you're doing it by hand. But if you ever, you probably already know there are ways to create your own fonts now that are pretty straightforward.
I have done that. I have created my own font. I don't like the way it looks.
No, I have been tempted to try it because I like how my handwriting is, and I've wanted to use it in some projects, but I just haven't gotten around to it. And yeah,
I'll amend my statement. I like the way it looks, but I don't think it works for Cowboy Love, which
Gotcha.
is I think as soon as you introduce something that's standardized, it all starts looking less insane.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. It's a little less deep.
There we go. And so it does not belong in Deep Canyon.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have the sketch, we have the style, and then I usually I have like a little square, perfect bound notebooks that I get from Paper Tiger that I draw in, and they I'll keep the aspect ratio nice and constant. I kind of had this just a sort of slightly more composed sketch of just what is going to be where. I think it's funny. It's funnier if the cowboy is in front of the bar rather than just nowhere. And it's funny. This is kind of what I was talking about with the action. I think the joke here is that the centipede comes up from behind something.
Right.
That's the central taste of this panel.
All right.
I go on that. Spend a while looking on Flickr for Creative Commons photographs, and I just find this like horrible looking dive bar from somewhere.
Yeah.
And then the tape is one of the most important weapons in my arsenal, because if I just traced over this right into Photoshop, it would look too precise. So to kind of introduce some noise, I take like a bit of printer paper and then like this. This is some good visuals for your watches. I then tape it over my screen, and then just I get a pencil, and then I sketch it out there, so I can keep the proportions without spending a whole afternoon on it. But it looks a little imprecise. Looks a little weird, like someone drew it. Then
right.
then I have the pencils. Wait, is that? Then I have the pencils, which I put the pencils into Photoshop, and then I draw over those with my calligraphy brushes, and figure out where the characters will go. Figure out which bits to leave behind, or which bits to not translate into the panel, and which bits to... This fire escape over here was way too complicated and didn't really add anything. It just kind of got in the way of the speech panels.
Right. Oh, okay. I can see. Yeah, you can see the outline.
So back here, it's one of those things. I kind of picked this picture because I quite like this complicated fire escape, but you got to kill your darlings, and sometimes that's that's a rusty old fire escape.
That's right.
Then comes the texturing, and I've come to really enjoy. This is maybe like my favorite part of doing a panel.
Yeah.
As I say, I've got all these, some pinned up behind me. I take a bit of paper, and it's fun to use different kinds of paper, whether it's like cotton paper or printer paper or photographic paper or card, and you take it to the kitchen and just do horrible things to it. Just smear spices, and tea is very good. Maybe you boil it a bit.
Nice.
And leave it out to dry in a pan. And then you have these things which you can scan in. I put them in a flower press. And then I layer these under the line work and start building up the environment. So this is kind of what it looks like without the lines.
Yeah.
And then put the lines back on. At this point, I'll put in like a gradient to set lighting. The lighting's not very realistic in Cowboy Love is Pure, but kind of does make details pop a bit just to have even an ill-defined lighting source. Then it's time to sketch in the characters, and they go. The lines here go straight over the pencils. You may notice that all of the lines are a little bit transparent as well. Kind of looks a bit. I like the idea of things sort of bleeding through, even if you don't entirely notice it. And then to make the characters stand out, then have a little wash in the same color of yellow. Then that is repeated, and then I erase out all the areas that would be highlight. Also using those calligraphy brushes. Then do the same for the centipede. Here he is.
Wow.
And then comes the time for the text. And I've made another rule for myself where everybody in the comic has a slightly different, not quite font, but quite different style for how they talk.
Yeah.
So the cowboy has this very like understated, kind of muted, sort of bashful font, where of course the centipedes are pure id. They are just yelling things at all times.
Right.
Then comes the animation, which is pretty basic, but it's just kind of designed to which bit of this is going to catch the eye. Drawing a bar is kind of a fun exercise, but that's not a particularly remarkable thing to see,
right?
In an endless scroll. But seeing a sort of Monty Python, like Spiny Norman-esque caterpillar or the centipede kind of emerge over the top of a mundane image, that's the sell. That's the reason why this panel exists.
It looks great. I'm still kind of dumbfounded by the wash, the paper wash. I'm still mesmerized and staring at all of the different colors in here, like from the washes. It's just it's so great. Are these scanned in and then like cut out with like a cutter tool or something? Like
let me bring some of that in here. Let's see. Give me 1 sec to fumble about here.
Yeah, because when it all comes together, I think it's so neat to see you break it down into the parts like this, because I especially
these are some recent things.
Nice.
Kind of living in a house filled with filthy paper.
I think for people who are kind of just getting started, or who are maybe frustrated when they're comparing themselves to kind of other artists, a lot of people forget that they're comparing themselves to final product, like to what the end result is, as opposed to what it started out as,
That's always the killer. And the NFT scene is very young.
Mm-hmm.
We're definitely on the older sort of end of this. And so, before I thought about doing a cowboy comic, I did have a hard drive full of weird stuff that I can either use again or, I know how to do that.
Yeah.
That time has been invested somewhere. So let's, okay. So this is where like the fill kind of things of the characters comes in. So that is just like the highlight layer.
Yeah.
Just put that on there. Just pull it off of the background, and now I can drop that in. And hey, now I got a weird cowboy shaped mud puddle. And then it's just the fun part is just applying layer effects and seeing what works. You could do something like that, and now you can just put. Oh, actually, quite like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and like seeing that happen, even just that quick thing, it makes things a little bit more accessible, I think, and I hope that people can see that, and it encourages them to get out there and experiment, but also to know that that it's not unattainable. Like this amazing comic that you're putting out, I think it's amazing.
Thank you.
It comes back to very simple, like really rough sketches on the train, and is built out of a lot of different pieces. It's cool to see so many different, like you said, are you being punked by using the analog here, or are you punk by using the digital? Which one's more punk? I don't know. But no, it's a cool mashup of all these different styles and techniques. It's neat.
Thanks. Yeah, and I guess it's very easy for me to get sort of lost in like my own head and my own hard drive. I didn't really appreciate this could be educational. Thanks for bringing that to my attention.
And I mean, for me too, like I have a hard drive full of random pictures that I if initially intended to be used for like backgrounds in zines and stuff, and some of them went into certain projects, but I have so many, and seeing like this kind of process reminds me that there's stuff there. It's ripe for the picking. You just gotta go get it.
Yeah, and that's such a that's for me like the very powerful thing about I don't know, just this new emergence of kind of blockchain-based art. Like the feedback time is incredible.
Right.
You just kind of, I'm sure you can relate to this. Like, yeah, you do something and you spend a lot of time on it and you're really proud of it, and then it never gets used. Certainly you never get paid for it, and it just like goes in a drawer.
Yeah.
Well, maybe when I'm dead, someone will find that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the turnaround time is it's very addictive. The fact that I can like draw something in a day, mint it, and sell it, or sell one or two of an edition, is so powerful.
Right.
I've never had that. Even at kind of the height of my powers, when I was sort of recognized on an indie comic circuit, maybe. You draw something, it would be months before it's now printed, and you take it to a convention and you kind of convince someone sort of in person that they should probably buy this now.
Right.
But then they give you like £1. You're like, yes, yeah,
right.
I am power. But yeah, this is the fact that can happen in the space of a day is incredible. I've never experienced anything like that. That's silly. And Cowboy Love is Pure hasn't been. It's gotten very nice praise. I feel a certain person of taste enjoys the panels, but I haven't made silly crypto money with Cowboy Love is Pure.
Right.
But that's the thing. You don't really need to. You just need like someone to say well done while like the ink is drying.
Right.
And like that if anything is like the powder that is going to ignite the whole scene to take over the world, it's that, I think.
Right. Absolutely. Now, so there's a positive effect there in that you're kind of getting this like immediate return. But you did say it's addictive.
Yeah. Yeah.
So can you kind of maybe just how do you I want to phrase this right. What do you see some downsides to this kind of immediate return that could be springing up, or that we already see, and maybe how do we steer?
I mean, we're gonna lose a lot of people to burnout. Probably already have.
Sure.
I'd say, especially if they're a bit younger and haven't kind of gone through. If you've, it's like strains of weed getting more and more potent over the decades. If you're 17 and you're kind of in school still, and you're making art, and you're putting it on Hickenang, you're putting it on the blockchain, and you're getting that feedback cycle, and then just one day it stops. Like the withdrawal from that must be like nothing else.
Sure.
I feel that I have gone months without so much as a kind word, without so much as a like. Still, just I guess I have not been destroyed by that,
right?
For whatever reason. But if you haven't been forced to endure that in order to be an artist, then I am like my heart really goes out to you as for your future. Like that's gonna be hard. Like even right now, just right here in November, Hickenug's a bit quiet. Haven't made a sale in a while, and I can now consult the memory of like, well, I've gone years without making a sale. This is fine. Yeah. But if you can't do that, then you like we need to stop all these wonderful, bright, talented, fertile minds from being heartbroken.
Right. Absolutely. I think when we were talking to Moon, aka Moo the Stan, she brought up mental health being something that was very important, and that we shouldn't be afraid of talking about, and it can be easy to kind of see mental health as like a big it's a very generic topic. Like we all kind of know what we're talking about when we say it. But zeroing in on certain things, I think, is also important. And I think that's a really interesting one you brought up, is that kind of withdrawal and that immediate gratification. Oh my gosh, like I just made stupid money from art and now nobody likes it anymore because nobody's buying it. Like that feeling of like, what did I do wrong? Like, and but just being able to communicate to those younger artists or just artists who maybe just got started and got excited even though they're older, and all of a sudden like nothing's coming back, and just encouraging like it's okay, this is a cycle, this is gonna happen, prepare for it or whatever. I don't know how to do it, but
and then I do have my reservations about relying so heavily on Twitter for us, because like Twitter isn't a friend of art and making art. Twitter is certainly not a friend of anything that wants to last and to grow naturally. So much of kind of NFT success stories is very much like a social media success story.
Yeah.
And I think we need to be careful about conflating them too much when that's not the only option. It's wonderful that the event in New York this week. There's going to be some in London quite soon. I think the more that people are able to meet and get beyond the very limited number of social media feeds, I think that's gonna be good for everybody and help with that kind of thing. Because
I'm glad you brought that up because I think. I guess, do you mind elaborating a little bit more on kind of what is it about Twitter, do you think, that is not conducive to art and whatnot? Because I'm curious about a little elaboration there.
Well, I'm no expert on these things. I'm just like, I've just gotten very frustrated a lot of times. Right. So
from your experience,
it seems that that Twitter like really fits you well if you like conflict and you like controversy and you like to you kind of want to turn yourself into a very particular part of the product.
Okay.
So if you're, I don't know, I guess like opinions, like to a certain extent your morality, to a certain extent your language, I guess, if you want that to all become, if you're very, very, very comfortable with that being a very prominent part of your art, then I think you'll be rewarded.
Right.
Because if you're out there and like picking fights, entering into fights, protecting other people, defending other people, tearing down this person, bigging up this person, if you're if you have a mindset that enjoys those kinds of things and you have art that reflects on those things, then that's good. But that's not many people.
Right.
And I think the more kind of more reticent, the more understated, the more I guess insincere. Like insincere is maybe the wrong word, but if you kind of like to be aloof, maybe, which
Right.
is that's definitely a strategy, right? Like J.D. Salinger made a great career out of being an aloof artist,
For sure.
but you can't really like the Twitter is not going to reward you for that. It is going to hide your posts. It is not going to put your tweets forward. It's not going to put your work forward to other people.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's Twitter's business. But that means we are going to, just through natural selection, breed success. The NFT artist is going to be someone who's good at Twitter, and that is a very certain set of skills.
Sure. Absolutely. And, so then on that note, kind of flipping that back to more of positive, what are some alternatives that you see? I mean, you did mention a couple, I think, already, but again, to kind of put a more fine point on it, meeting up in person, you mentioned that, kind of having more social gatherings.
Yeah, the most powerful thing I think we have is that we have, in a very short space of time, got ourselves a very dependable and very loyal set of patrons. We have kind of the people at the top who they may be artists, they may be collectors, but they have generated a great deal of money.
Yes.
And don't really know what to do with it all. But what can be done with that is is community building.
Yeah.
And pardon me, organizing networking events, organizing exhibitions, organizing talks. We're only just starting to see that come up, and it seems that there's a real appetite for it. And I think that's going to bring out, that's going to feed far more different types of artists and of art, consequently. And I think that's a really good thing.
Absolutely.
Because there's so many traditions that we have that hasn't been adopted in kind of blockchain art. Like there isn't, because everybody's sort of anonymous and it's all a bit shady at the moment. This sort of thing, like you're doing, isn't very common, I'd say.
Right. Yeah.
This is pretty remarkable and very valuable. And then kind of things like, I don't know, the sort of the unit of cartooning back in the day was like drink and draws and figure drawing clubs, and just pub meets.
Absolutely.
And which is all kind of done. The sort of simulacrum of that is on Discord, and there's definitely strength in the fact that this is such an international phenomenon. But I think bringing, at the same time, layering over, I guess, more local events would be really, I think that's the kind of long-term thinking we need to be considering.
Right. Things have become very globalized, and now we can take that maybe momentum and localize it.
Yeah.
Which will then feed back into the globalized community. And
yeah, because local doesn't necessarily mean exclusion. Like, I'd love to go to like a Hikanunk do in Brazil. That would be like the most amazing summer.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And to like look forward to that and to go and do that and to talk to the kind of wizardy devs and talk to some of the artists and like meet like a load of new people. I would love that. Love that very dearly. And that's something that I just from this week feels like that's going to probably happen quite shortly.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing, I think for myself, I'm looking forward to feeling more comfortable traveling. First of all, there's a lot of international travel that my wife and I had planned and didn't get to follow through on. And now that kind of getting involved in the NFT art world and meeting all of these cool people from all over the world, it makes it even more of a drive to like go out and visit these people and meet them in their native environments and yeah, just again, and being able to talk about these kind of topics like with like-minded people, as it is important. It's, you know, and it's not something that you get on Twitter as much. It's I found that, you know, from the artist side of things, I don't consider myself an artist who's, you know, really pushing their stuff all the time. You know, I'm finding little windows of time, maybe minting a few things, sharing it here and there, and then going back to whatever I was doing before that and working and, you know, doing the art cast. But still, I feel like a lot of the time, like, I don't think anyone's seeing this, or, you know, I think it gives you a little bit of what am I trying to say here? I guess I'm going back to that to our points earlier about just it's not the most ideal environment for sharing, because like in getting yourself involved in like a shill thread, like I always seem to I want to make like a little meme that's like, you know, that face when you go to comment on a shill thread, but you see there's 480 comments already, and it's like, you know,
yeah, who's gonna see that? Who's gonna wear out their fingers scrolling through that?
Yeah. But anyway,
but yeah, and that's the thing, because someone might see it and they might say, "Oh, that's cool," but of course
right.
they're at their computer, they're on their phone, they're like at work. They're not necessarily. You don't really have their full attention, and if you even get a bit of their attention, you don't know it. You might get a like, might get a retweet, but no one's gonna say like, "I really love your piece. I really love your work, and your style has inspired me to do something else." Like that is such a that is something that comes much more naturally and is much more like just easy to do.
Yeah.
Anywhere else but Twitter.
Right. Well, and that I think that brings up a good point, in that I used to say this about Las Vegas, is that Las Vegas is a very young city culturally. Like in the world's eye, you know, it's the entertainment capital of the world. You know, you see like the Las Vegas Strip, but for people who are born and raised here, you know, there's like your daily life. You know, there's artists who are local, there's musicians who are local. You see it grow and dip and go up and down, where, you know, you swear that this band is really going to make it, and then, you know, nothing happens because all the members move to Seattle or something, you know, or so I think there's a kind of an interesting analogy between the NFT space and this city, because, you know, in the long run, especially talking about Tezos and Hicket Nunk, like it's so young in the space and what we can do, and it's kind of like, you know, kind of create what you want to see in the world. Like you have an opportunity right now to build up those things that you wish were happening. If you wish there were more meetups, this is the time to start making meetups happen. If you wish that you could be meeting more people at a kind of like NFT festival, or you wish that there were more galleries who were displaying NFT work, you know, it's the time for you to reach out to galleries and say, I've got this idea. And that can be really exhausting, because a lot of times laying groundwork and foundation work, you know, all you're doing in the end is laying foundation work that you don't get to see to fruition. But every once in a while, you putting that effort in is going to be the thing that like gives those artists like a platform to stand on, and that great thing that you always wished could happen, you finally get to see it happen. So it's exciting in that way.
And at the end of the day, what else are you going to do with all your SHIB money?
Exactly. Exactly. That's right. Open a gallery, damn it.
Yeah, even if it fails, it's fine.
That's right. People will always remember it fondly.
Yeah.
Or at least a couple people will remember it fondly.
Yeah, make things that people will miss.
That's right. That's right.
Thanks for putting up this panel, by the way. This is that way.
Yeah,
This is one of my favorites.
it's a good one. The centipede. I gotta ask. Okay, two things. Cowboys.
Yeah.
Very very American iconography here.
Yeah.
Do you have a love for westerns?
No, in fact, my sort of inside everyone is two wolves. There's the wolf that says cowboys are funny and we should do cowboys. That's something. That's a recognizable image. Then there's the other wolf that says, well, maybe you should learn something about the setting. Maybe you should, I'm a trained scientist. I could, if I really wanted to. Actually, well, I kind of, I have to kind of stop myself from getting into the details, into the facts, because that's the whole job. It can be your job just to know about what happened in the American, this is sort of the landscape and stuff is kind of Utah, and Utah, there's a lot of history in Utah. No.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you have to kind of sit down and say something weird in a panel, and that's it.
Yep.
So if I get kind of too drawn into accurate costumes and accurate speech and accurate language and technology and society, then I'll never make a panel again. I have a great deal of respect of things like Asterix, where the research is impeccable, and it all comes across, but I can't do both. I can't hold both thoughts in my head.
Sure. Well, and I think that goes to I think the title says it all. Cowboy Love is pure, and that purity is not about the details. It's about the soul and the feeling.
The soul, yeah, exactly. There's two things which I will stop to, and where I demand accuracy from myself. I do have, I don't know if you can see this. I do have a taxidermied centipede.
Oh, hold on. Let me blow you up
model.
a little bit.
Oh, thank you very much. Feels good.
Oh, that's me.
Oh.
I'm big now. There we go. That's better.
There we go. I do have a taxidermied centipede that's, as you can see, crumbling apart before your very eyes. That I like to draw. Because I can feel it happening. I can feel I look at a drawing, I think, well, that's got the wrong number of segments.
Right.
I should redraw it. No, have to tame that beast.
That's right. This is a special centipede with not that many segments.
Yeah. It's had a hard life.
That's right.
And the other thing I quite get into is geology. I do find myself bringing up the occasional paper on the formation of the Appalachians and things like that. But then that's the problem is when that's maybe it's kind of fun if you've got like a Utah scene. Can you then do a New Mexico scene without the story having to explain the hundreds of miles you've traveled, or can you just put in a cool mushroom rock?
Yeah.
Someday I will experiment with. Well, this is the thing. This is why, I do those things. I do. The current one I'm doing is something set in Madagascar in the 1700s, and it's about a pirate utopia and a naturist on a ship. Whenever I kind of sit down to I'm going to do a drawing on that, I will just read a lot about extinct turtles and have a good time doing that.
Yeah.
But very little gets drawn.
Sure.
So then as a palette cleanser, I'll do something like Cowboy Love, where it's sort of willfully wrong.
You're right. I'm trying to think of an analogy. It's the difference between having to perform the difference between maybe performing a classical piece of music on the piano versus getting into freeform jazz piano on the stage late at night in a smoky club or something. They're different mindsets, probably.
Yeah, that's very flattering. Thank you very much.
You know, I'm not a jazz pianist or classical pianist, so that may be a terrible analogy for all I know, but it felt right.
Yeah, I can really appreciate the what must be the pleasure of turning up, not knowing what you're going to do, and then just kind of letting the sort of fluctuations of the evening and your own knowledge of your instruments make something entirely new.
Colin on Facebook says, "Great piece here."
Thank you very much, Colin. I appreciate it.
Colin, if you have a Tezos address, yes, there is a hen link to that.
Oh yeah.
That is object link 175915, or object 175915. I can throw that in the chat. I should just do the whole thing. Oh, perfect. xtzarsenal.tez. Perfect. Thank you, Colin.
Thank you very much.
I don't know if you were around to see the piece, but you'll be getting a one-of-a-kind little old man piece panel just made for the Artcast today, and it's awesome. So I'm glad we're going to be able to send that out to you. And here, I'll give you the... you can also see more of Little Old Man's work. He's got the Showtime link up right now, showtime.io/littleoldman.
I really like Showtime because it allows you to put things in chronological order.
Nice.
And so
that is
the
nice.
comic is kind of readable just from the main page.
Right.
Colin, in case you missed it, this is the giveaway piece. That will be coming your way shortly. Also, if this is pretty recent, there was a Hen 500K piece I just put out for the low, tiny, almost insignificant price of half a tez.
Oh, nice. That's cool too. I was about to ask if you painted on that piece, but you took a piece of wood, scanned it.
Yeah, hang on. Is it in the room? Oh, I've got the previous one up. Okay, this is not the same, but it's in the same kind of vibe. Yeah, no, I just draw. Wait, am I visible here?
There we go.
There we go.
Nice.
Yeah, just draw on the wood. It's pretty fun. Everyone should do it. And then you do a trick where you like draw a bit of it and scan it in, and then draw the rest of it and scan it in, and then animate.
Yes. Colin, we'll link up with you on xtzarsenal.xyz. I'll check out that project. Awesome. Very cool. Well, I'm so glad to have been able to talk to you. This has been a lot of fun. I want to make sure if you had anything else you wanted to cover, that we cover it, because I do have to wrap up slightly early today, but we still have a short amount of time to make sure you get any last minute things in or panels that you might have wanted to share.
That's all good. Thanks for the heads up. No, I think I've said everything about Cowboy Love I'd like to say. I have other guises and projects going on.
Yes.
We can briefly touch on those.
Absolutely.
I have a project on, where is it? AB2 on Algorand, which quite like Algorand. I want Algorand to do more NFT things, but I think that'll come. Shark of Wisdom, of a shark that has something to say to you. Those are also animated. And then I do dabble on the Ethereum blockchain. I'm doing mostly commission work on there under the name of Ticklish.
Ticklish. Are you Ticklish?
No, actually, I have. I can be bothered in all kinds of ways, and I can just remain perfectly phlegmatic.
Nice. Do you have any of the shark images that we can share?
Let me fumble around. I'm gonna have to go into clearly looking at my own screen face.
I I'm gonna read a comment real quick while you're looking for that. Colin said also. He said, "Fire, bro! I'm also a Tezos artist and project creator, and just bought 175915."
Hi, thank you very much.
Thanks, Colin. That's awesome.
That's brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, it's such a cool project, Colin. I said, sorry I was late. Looking forward to continuing on Twitter networking. Our project is built on Tezos marketing. If you guys ever want to take promotion with an NFT spin. All right, groovy.
Cool.
Excellent.
I've cooked up a few Shark of Wisdoms for you here. Let me...
And while you're not ticklish, it's all lies, Spoo says. he's upset. While you're showing the shark, I'm curious, as an artist, what's your take on using multiple blockchains, like for multiple projects? Do you kind of pick and choose? Do you think it's taking away anything from do you think is there a perception that because you have this Cowboy Love project on Tezos right now that doing other work on other blockchains is somehow taking away from Tezos, or taking away from Ethereum by being on Tezos? Or do you have any?
I suppose in real terms, it is like I'm investing energy and time in this direction rather than that direction. I kind of see it. I think it's currently like a luxury. I think in a few years' time, we will have, I think one blockchain will win.
Yeah.
Whatever struggle this currently is. And the days of being on different blockchains will just be completely arbitrary. Or that markets like Showtime, which can miraculously interface with Tezos and Ethereum, it won't really matter too much. It's more like just what currency you feel like spending today.
Yeah. Okay.
So I can see the arguments, and I'm sympathetic to them. I feel that, like, at the moment, when everything is so new and unstable, it's probably good to spread your bets as an artist.
Yeah.
I kind of consider Hickanunk like my home base, just because I feel that is the most appealing community vibe scene, I suppose. It's a scene.
Yeah.
That's probably the right way to put it. But back in the day, you could be a cubist and a fauvist. You could. It just depends on which cafe you're in.
That's right. Well, and I think kind of NFTs. Some artists said it a while back. They said basically like the blockchain prior to NFTs is just kind of cold currency, and that art and music and gaming it brings life, it brings color to the blockchain. And in the same way, I think blockchain communities can be very cold, calculated, and profit driven only, because you're just talking about money. So it's it's day trading, it's watching the charts go up and down, and that fast life. And I think artists getting involved, there's always going to be that element, but I think people who are primarily interested in sharing their work and sharing their creative process and getting paid for it adds a little bit of humanity back into, adds that color. And I guess what I'm saying is that that tribalism of my blockchain versus your blockchain that goes on between like a kind
Sega
of cold,
versus
calculated.
Nintendo.
Yeah. I think that's kind of lifted a little bit with as many artists that are flooding into the space of like, listen, I don't know what's going on with your technology here, but I'm just here for some art, and you want me to use Ethereum? Cool, let's do it. You want me to use Tezos? Let's do it. You want to collect my work? Let's do it. I think there's a little more of that levity, or like it's not so serious.
Yeah, tell me which buttons to press in order to make the art happen. I mean,
Right.
in 200 years' time, people are not going to remember Tezos. But they're not
Right.
going to remember the intricacies of Ethereum 2. They're going to remember the pictures and the music and the art that was from. Like, art preserves things from time. And it just so happens that this kind of transaction technology is a convenient way to do that.
What would Shark of Wisdom say about all this?
Okay, see, I can't really do Shark of Wisdom off the cuff that much. I kind of feel like I've got to do the voice. I've got to kind of get into the embodiment. What would Shark of Wisdom say about the blockchain?
Tribalism, maybe.
About tribalism. Okay. Tribalism is always profitable. That's what Shark of Wisdom would say.
I love it. Let the Shark of Wisdom take a bite out of your playbook, or take a bite out of Shark Wisdom's playbook, and I don't know.
Yeah. We're selling special playbooks, which you can bite into. They're kind of comedy sized, and give a really good dental imprint. They're made of a sort of high density wood pulp.
That's right.
So buy your playbooks right now. Drop your wallet address. We'll post to you the
exactly.
playbook.
Or if you want to become famous, New Jared on Twitch says you can buy followers and viewers on bigfollows.com. Now,
well, stop the presses. I'm gonna write that. What? I need followers. That's my lifeblood. That's all I live for.
Thank you, New Jared, for your wisdom, and I wonder what Shark
exchange money for that. That's so valuable. Okay, changes everything.
Spoo says 2 different playbooks, one for Tribe A, one for Tribe B.
Hired. Come on board. You're going to be the new strategy manager.
That's right.
Bring your 2 playbook model. Let's get talking.
All right, awesome. Well, we're gonna wrap it up. I want to thank you again for coming on. I've had a great time talking to you, and yeah, I hope to be chatting soon in person at the Great Tezos NFT Art Fest of 2022 in Las Vegas.
Oh yeah, fantastic. It's a date, Jeff.
All right.
Thanks so much. I've really enjoyed myself.
Absolutely, and I'll be in touch, and I will send over those. I don't know if you got the addresses out of the chat, but if not, I will send them over.
No, I've not put up the chat as to not distract myself. So let's we'll do that. We'll do that off camera.
Perfect.
All the magic of the system can go under the cover.
Excellent.
Farewell.
Right.
Thanks again.
Cheers and farewell. We'll see you next time. Thank you. All right, y'all. Thank you very much. My lovely wife and cat bid you goodwill. That's Esperanza, if you didn't know. And that's my lovely lady. And Spoo, you say we gonna be rich, and they don't even have to be different. Just make one red and one blue. That's right, the playbook. I will be seeing you all next week. We've got Rose Jackson on coming in to talk about her really cool, intricate wool work. Dory Theo, drop that Tezos address if you have one, so we can get you an NFT from Little Old Man. And she is a cute cat. She's fiery. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Cute show, great cat. Thank you, Spoo. We'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for hanging out. Same genre. Check out freaking Dope Boys. Badass. Same genre. Thank you. Spoo, got your address. And we'll see you guys later. Talk to you soon. Bye.